What's happening, VC? Midge here, guy in a hat who loves to talk about records. And it's been another stonkingly hot day in the UK today. We're in the middle of another heat wave, so it's been 35 today. I'm currently sat in a bowl of Neapolitan ice cream to keep cool. And actually, I've just got back from a listening party at my local record shop for the new Jack White album. So expect a review on that in the next couple of videos. And I thought, since it's so hot, it was a really good excuse to get my R's out again. That's my recent repetitive rotations. So I picked out 5 albums that I'm going to talk to you about. Some old, some new pickups. All that have been on the turntable a lot recently, and I'll just walk you through, see if there's something there you fancy or I can recommend to you. But before we start, just a bit of housekeeping. I was very pleased to be asked to join Gordon from I Dig Vinyl and some of my favourite VCers on a live stream about the World Cup. I was really confused to be asked, to be honest, because I know very little about kicky ball or World Cup kicky ball. And for example, I didn't even know if you were a president, you could try and overturn the results of games. I mean, it's mind blowing. I mean, all these new rules, FIFA and that, you don't know where you stand, do you? Which is why I get confused by football. But fortunately, we talk mainly about records, so I just bluffed the rest. And yeah, and it was good. It was a good laugh, and I had a good time when we showed a lot of interesting records. So I'll leave a link to that below. But another cool thing that happened was I was sent a book by James Griffith recently, and it's this one, Lights, Camera, Beatle, and a deep dive into the solo Beatle music videos 1970 to 1995, written by James and John Heaton. And I've been really enjoying this. It's a great book to dip in and out of, and it basically just follows the Beatles' solo videos. And it's really cool because it's like, you know, when you read a good book about music and it draws you back to the album, well, I keep dipping into this and then seeking out the videos, and it's been a bit of an eye-opener, especially Ringo's. And it's great. It's not too sort of like scholarly. It's quite light-hearted, and it's great to dip into, and it's quite funny. And yeah, I've been really enjoying this. So thanks, James. Really appreciate you sending me a copy of this, and it's available on Amazon, and I'd really recommend it. It's a really cool read. I really enjoyed that. So cheers, James. I'll leave a link to his channel below. He's got a really cool channel. So let's get into it then. 5 recent repetitive rotations. Okay, this first album I'm going to show you was one that I picked up last year. I had a trip to Oxford with my missus, and when I went to a few record shops, I made a travelogue video about it if you search back, but this shop that I went to wasn't on the video because it was sort of like a shop I discovered as we were leaving, and I had about 10 minutes to look round it, which is, you know, 10 minutes for a record collector and a record shop they've never been in before is just, you know, it's like torture. So I had to have a quick skim round. I can't even remember the name of the shop, but I'd love to go back. I'm going to have to find out what it is and make a note, because otherwise I'll just completely forget. But it was on the outskirts of Oxford, and it was cool because it had like a great second-hand section, but it also had a really large section of sort of prog and sight reissues from all over the world. And it was a case of like I was flicking through and trying to decide what to get, and it was one of those things where you just think, I'll take that one, I'll have a gamble on that one. And I had a good feeling about it because I love the cover, and I'll go into that in a minute. But the guy behind the counter said, yeah, it's a good one, this one, you've picked well. So yeah, and I had picked well, it's really cool. So this is from 1972, and it's the group Bang, and this is their album Mother. Although it's more like an EP, really. It's strange. It's like 2 EPs joined together. So this is the Mother EP. This is a cover of the Mother EP. There's the Mother serving them pie. What a strange cover that is. And what I really like about this cover is the fact that it looks like really old-fashioned and medieval in a way, but also the minute I saw it, I thought of Carry On Abroad and Hattie Jakes. I mean, you know the scene I mean, but this could be filmed. Sid James could have been in the background here somewhere. See what I mean?
Is no good. Is good.
So yeah, this is from 1972, and it's like a double EP. It's joined together the Mother EP, which has got 4 tracks, as you can see, but it also contains the Bow to the King EP, which also contains 4 tracks. So it's like 2 EPs joined together. I don't know if they originally released separately or not, but this album joins them together. There's the band. And it's what I like about this is I've been playing it loads. It's sort of like, obviously it's heavy rock. There's a bit of sort of like psych in there, a little bit of psych, but it's heavy psych. And the strange thing about this album is it's like it sounds almost like Black Sabbath. There's like the singer. It's got a really sort of like Ozzy type effect to his vocal. He sounds a lot like Ozzy in places. It's really heavy. It's got really doomy riffs, but it's really catchy at the same time as well. It's got some really great songs on it. So there's 8 songs altogether, lots of riffing, and yeah, I've been really enjoying this. And it's a bit of a mixture to it as well. There's a bit of acoustic stuff on it as well, a bit of light and shade. There's a great song called No Sugar Tonight, which is sort of like a catchy rock type song written by Randy Bachman. So I don't know if it's a Bachman Turner Overdrive or whether it predates them, I'm not sure, but that's a great rocker. And also it's got a song on it called Bow to the King, obviously from the Bow to the King EP side of it. And it's really cool. It's sort of like, it really reminds me of Genesis, early Genesis. You know, early Genesis, they had a lot of songs where they were like lyrical stories and they were quite odd and they were quite obviously sometimes a bit like, you know, kings and queens and medieval type stuff. And it really sounds like a Lost Genesis song. And lyrically, it's about their king who basically he's the strongest man in the kingdom. So if you want to challenge the king, you've got to fight him, as depicted here. And whoever wins becomes a king, but the king wins. So, but yeah, it's like, you know, lyrically and musically, it really sounds like a Genesis track. And yeah, he's getting some heavy beatings here. I'm not really sure what's going on here, but that doesn't look like fighting to me. But obviously, Vladimir Putin's won. And he's now the new king. But yeah, like I say, I've been playing this a lot, really enjoying it. Apparently the first album's good as well, but it's in a thick card sleeve. It's on the Svart record label, which I've not heard of. No, Svart. And on black vinyl, 180 gram. That's the label. And yeah, I've been absolutely loving this. Great 70s hard rock with a Black Sabbath influence. So yeah, worth checking out. Okay, next up, a bit of Cheap Heat. And I absolutely love Cheap Heat albums. I don't know, there's something about them. There's something about getting an album that's really cheap and you get it home and then all of a sudden you're really into it and you play it to death and you're thinking, yeah, forget all these expensive prog and psych albums. You know, Cheap Heat's the way to go. And all these albums, a lot of it's snobbery, but you know, a lot of these forgotten albums are really great. And the fact that they're cheap is, you know, there should be a lot more videos in the VC about Cheap Heat and the best ones to pick up because there's so many around, and a lot of it, like I say, is just people saying, "Oh, you're listening to that, are you?" Yeah, I am. Yes, and this is a good one, and this has been on the turntable a lot. From 1980, and it's from Odyssey. And I think I picked this up in I think it Leeds when I met with some VCers earlier on in the year. Really cheap, got it back home. I knew the 2 hits on it. Use It Up and Wear It Out. It's obviously like a disco classic. And there's also the absolutely sublime ballad on here, If You're Looking for a Way Out, which was another big hit in the UK. And it's the Odyssey album Hang Together. It's from 1980. Absolutely love that artwork. They've got like statues for the sea. That's cool, isn't it? And you know, I'm not sure if that's meant to be the Ark, because you're not going to get many animals on that, and it looks unsafe now with a moose on it. Is that a moose Or is that? Oh, I don't know. I'm not an animal expert, but yeah, they've got a few more animals on the back as well. But yeah, I love that artwork. It's absolutely superb, and yeah, Cheap Heat, really cheap. Been playing it a lot, and such a great band. Obviously, Odyssey was formed around the late 70s. Funnily enough, they were a US band, but they had a lot more success in the UK than they did in the US. Made up of 3 vocalists. You've got, if I can read it, you've got Lillian Lopez, Louise Lopez, and Billy McKern, the 3 vocalists. Obviously, they were a bit like a studio band in a way, because somebody called Sandy Linzer did the production and wrote most of the songs. Start to finish, it's all cool. It's all sort of like soulful, disco light type of songs, really catchy. The production's brilliant. It's really well arranged. It's really well. The musicianship is superb. It's quite slick. But it's just so well arranged and produced. It sounds brilliant. It sounds really crystal clear production, and the songs, like I say, are all really catchy. There's not a bad song on here. Obviously, you've got the 2 hit singles. You've got Don't Tell Me, Tell Her, which is a great sort of catchy disco light song. And you've got Rooster Loose in the Barnyard, which is sort of like, it sounds a bit like Funkadelic-esque. It's a bit, it's got like a bit of hard funk to it. And lyrically, it just sounds like a lost Funkadelic song. It starts off with the lyrics, this is a dirty song, put your kids to bed. But yeah, it's a great song. But like I say, Cheap Heat. It's nothing shameful about Cheap Heat. I've been playing this loads, and it's just great. It's just really nice, well produced, well sung, well arranged, well written, disco light soul, and it's just really cool for that. So if you see this in the cheap bins, honestly, pick it up. It's great. Odyssey and Hang Together. Okay, next up we've got. Excuse me, hang on. Thirsty Work is talking about records. I love root beer. Honestly, I love it. I love root beer. I love root beer. When I was a kid, they used to serve it in McDonald's. They did. You tell kids that today, and they won't believe you. But they did. They had root beer in McDonald's. Anyway, this next one is an album I've had in my collection for a long time. But you know, when you get to that stage where you sort of like think, I haven't heard that in a while, and you pull it out and you think, oh my, you forget how amazing the album is that you pulled out that you haven't listened to for a while. Well, this is one of them. And it's from 1973, and it's the first album by the band Backdoor. And if you've never heard of Backdoor, you should have, really, because they're amazing. They did 4 albums, I think. I think I've got them all, but the first one especially is absolutely superb. And you can see Backdoor there, standing, funnily enough, by a back door. Clever that. Basically, you've got Colin Hodgkinson. Yeah, I can't even say it. Colin Hodgkinson on bass. You've got Ron Asprey on saxophones and flute, and Tony Hicks on drums. And they're like a power trio, but they're a jazz power trio. But hang on a minute, and if you don't like jazz, don't go away yet. Basically, they're a jazz power trio for people who like rock. And I know that sounds a bit strange, but they rock out, but they are jazzy. But I can't really describe it any more than that. So basically, this album was originally self-released by the band because they went around lots of record companies, but nobody was interested because they didn't have a guitarist. But they don't need one, because Colin Hodgkinson is such an amazing bassist. He plays the bass like Lemmy does in Motorhead, plays it like a guitar. He's extremely prolific. He plays it like a lead guitar. He plays it very soft. He plays it very melodic, and he's just like Thunderfingers. It's amazing to hear. And obviously you've got Ron Asprey's sort of squawking, skronky sax, but also very melodic at times. And Tony Hicks' drumming is just superb. There's such a prolific, really sort of melodic musical boffins, basically. Amazing musicians. And like I say, it was originally self-released by the band on the Blakely label, and it's named after Blakely Edge in the North Yorkshire moors, and they played at this pub called The Lion. regularly, and used to in the middle of nowhere. Apparently, if it snowed heavy, you'd have to stay at the pub, which I'm sure they wouldn't complain about. But if you look on the back, there's some pictures of them playing in the Lion pub there. They were, used to do regular sets there, and the album was named after them. It was run by a guy called Brian Jones, not that Brian Jones, another one. I think that's him there. So basically, they used to do regular gigs at this pub. They went around several record companies and didn't get any joy, so they self-released this album on their own label with a different cover. And it was one of those word of mouth things. I think they used to sell a lot of copies in musical instrument shops in London. And sort of like a word of mouth thing started spreading, and the NME offices were close to one of the music shops, and I think they picked up a copy, and then everything just went nuts. And they eventually got a record deal with Warner Brothers, because apparently they couldn't, keep up with the demand of the self-released album, because word of mouth and that, everyone was just like, these guys are amazing, and they are amazing. So basically, you've got 12 tracks. All quite short, so there's no long sort of jazz type pieces here. They're all sort of very short, can be very funky, can be very soulful, can be very sort of, so many different styles, and it's not your typical jazz trio. Like I say, they are very hard edged, they're all quite rocking. And this album's amazing. I've forgotten how good it was. So this album was re-released by Warner Brothers on with this cover. The original cover's different. I'll show you a picture of it up there. Basically, there's so many different styles on this album. It's probably most famous, or it came to a lot of people's attention, because one of the intros was sampled by the Beastie Boys for Stand Together. The track's called Sliverdив, and I'll get onto that in a minute. But it's the track where it starts like somebody's trying to force a chicken through a mangle. You know the one. But there's a slight mystery about this track that nobody's ever picked up on, apart from me.
Little things bother me. I'm a worrier. I mean, little insignificant details. I lose my appetite. I can't eat.
And whether I've got it wrong, but basically, if you play this album, every single person attributes the Beastie Boys sample to the end of side 1, called Sliverdив. But when you play this album, that's not the track. The actual track the Beastie Boys sampled is the self-titled song on side 2, Back Door. So it's Back Door by Back Door. But you look at every single video, you look at every single sample clearance, and it will say Beastie Boys sample Back Door's Sliverdив. But it's not. And I thought, I'll check the Matrix numbers and I'll check it on Discogs. No mention of it whatsoever. It's on the Palm Tree Warner Brothers label, but the track they've sampled is actually called Back Door. But no, and no one ever mentions it. No, it's Sliverdив. It's definitely Sliverdив. So when you see the original issue of this album, it has sleeve notes on it, and the guy talks you through all the tracks. And when he mentions the track Sliverdив, he mentions it has some very distinctive motorbike engine sounds that start the track. Now, that is Sliverdив, but it's not the Beastie Boys track. That's Back Door. So even the liner notes of the first issue contradict it, because they're all saying, no, the Beastie Boys sampled Sliverdив, but it's not, because Sliverdив starts with motorcycle noises, as the sleeve notes say. So it isn't that track, it's Back Door. So what the hell's going on? I don't get it, but no one else has picked up on this mystery apart from me. Unless it's one of those mysteries where if you pick up on it, you slowly get bumped off by somebody. But yeah, I mean, it's just, I've never got that. It's just crazy. I don't understand that. I've checked all the Matrix numbers and everything, and sorry, what's that? No, you get a life. Look, I'm not even bothered. I don't care. It's my mate that wanted to know, actually. He wanted me to mention it. Yeah, so I have got a life, actually. I couldn't care less. My mate asked me to bring this up, so yeah, blame him. But if anyone does know the reason for this mix-up, just let me know, okay? And I'll tell my mate, okay? Okay, but yeah, that aside, Backdoor by Backdoor is an amazing album. If you've never checked them out, honestly, check them out. All their albums are great, but the first one is specifically great. And I don't really care about that Slivediv nonsense, you know. But yeah, Backdoor. The next album that's been getting some really heavy rotation at Midge Towers has been another album that I picked up at the Leeds Record Fair earlier on in the year. Really pleased to pick this up because you never see albums by this band, and I've been looking for years for them. And it's the band Ballin' Jack. Yeah, strange name. It has a lot of various sort of backgrounds and meanings. So Ballin' Jack was, you know, it's mentioned in a lot of blues songs in terms, I think that's what they used to call getting the railway tracks in position back in the day. You're balling the jack, you know, you're going at it, hammer and tongs sort of thing. And obviously going off that, you know what the other meaning of the word probably is, balling jack. It's not jack, you don't ball jack, but you know, you're balling jacks. Yeah, I'm sure you know what I mean. But basically, American band, really tight, really funky. I've been after their self-titled album for years, but you know, you just don't see them in this country. In the US, they're probably quite plentiful. So when I saw this at the Leeds Record Fair, and it was really cheap, again, cheap heat. I picked it up, and it's been, I loved it, absolutely loved it. It's been everything I thought it would be. So it's basically a band, very, very in the mould of Sly and the Family Stone, basically. So you've got a band, multiracial band. All the songs are really uplifting and joyful and about harmony and peace and love and all that jazz. And yeah, they're such a great band. And this is sort of like a live recording. Now, whether or not it was actually live or whether it was live in the studio or and the effects were added on, I'm always a bit cynical about live albums. But honestly, this is great. They've got their own horn section. The lead singer, Luther Rabb, is really great, and he's got a great patter with the audience as well. Very much of its time, very peace and love. And it's just a great sort of recording of a band just like stretching out and being loose and funky and tight at the same time. The songs are really cool. If You Don't Like My Music, Peace and Harmony, Big Dealer, Special Pride, Hold On, just great. And towards the end of the album, they really stretch out, and there's some really great breakdowns and solos and horns and things like that. About two of the songs on the second side, about 10 minutes long. So just sounds great. Great vocalist, like I say. And if you love Sly and the Family Stone, you'll really enjoy this. And it's from 1974. It's on the Mercury label, I think. Yeah, Mercury label. Sort of lurid green in there with lots of other titles on it. Including Aphrodite's Child. Imagine that album with a green cover. Wouldn't be as menacing, would it? But yeah, honestly, this is great. I've been playing this to death. It's just great sort of funky soul and rock. Lots of different sort of genres are covered. A great melting pot, and the band, like I said, the band is superb. And you know, like I said on the last video when I mentioned this, I mean, every musician, whatever walk of life, they're only in it for a big BJ, and Ballin' Jack certainly got one on this album. So yeah, if you see this, good luck. But it's great. It's really worth picking up, and it's probably not going to be that expensive. But yeah, highly recommend that. Ballin' Jack, live and in colour. So the last album I'm going to talk to you about today is by a band that we all know and we all love. Well, I think we all love them. But it was a later album in this band's discography, and I've never really gone that far with this band. And I picked it up, again, it was cheap, and I was blown away by it, really. I wasn't expecting to be, and I've really enjoyed it. And it's by ELO, and it's the 1981 album Time. And like I say, I've got a lot of ELO's 70s catalogue. Really enjoy ELO. You can't knock them really, can you? Great songwriting. Jeff Lynne, superb bearded genius. And I thought I don't know anything about this album, so I picked it up, and it's really cool. And it's basically a concept album, and which is strange for an 80s album. And it seems to be an album where ELO were trying to find their way in like a new decade, because it sounds like ELO, but it doesn't sound like ELO. And what surprised me was that the sort of orchestral bits have been dialed back, and there's a heavy sort of use of synthesizers, which was obviously, the 80s was like the, peak time for everybody using synthesizers and stuff. But Jeff Lynne must have come in at a very early stage on this. And this album is just full of synths, and it does give it quite a unique sound. But obviously, you can't escape the fact it's Jeff Lynne and it's ELO. But it's quite surprising at first to hear it. He obviously has tried to update the sound or to change the sound for the new decade. And it's a concept album about a man who either sort of like falls asleep or dreams or something like that. And the next day he wakes up in 2095 from 1981. And the songs deal with how he sees the world there, all the future technology that there is, some sort of precedents about rolling news, which was interesting, because obviously he talks on this album about a 24-hour rolling news, which wasn't a thing in the 80s, but is very much a thing now. So Jeff Lynne might be clairvoyant, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, it's a great album. All the songs are really catchy. The concept hangs together really well. This guy's stumbling through the future, and he doesn't know how he's got there, but he sort of thinks that the future's brought nothing. He's not impressed. Everything is, it's like a, not a sort of dystopian future, but he's not impressed by the developments. He's certainly not impressed by the fact that he's in 2095 and they still haven't made a time machine that could take him back despite their best efforts. And I feel for the guy here, because, when you were a kid and you watched Back to the Future and they had the cool sort of floating skateboards, I mean, they lied to us. I mean, they're still not made them now. Where are they now? I mean, all these technological advances, and they can't make a floating skateboard. I mean, I know how this guy feels. You feel cheated. You feel robbed. But yeah, he's stuck in 2095. He misses his girlfriend, and he wants to get back to her. He tries to send her a message through time, through his dreams. Yeah, no, it's a concept album. Stay with it. But at the end, bizarrely, he doesn't get back. He's stuck there. He can't find a way back. And I think Jeff Lynne was asked about this years later and just said, the concept album you made, Jeff, was the guy in it, was he dreaming all along, or was he actually stuck there? And bizarrely, Jeff Lynne said, I don't know myself. And he said, I wrote it and I still can't work out whether I meant to leave him there or whether it was like all a dream, and he sort of like realised that he was still back in the 80s and he appreciated, the present more than the future. So even Jeff Lynne doesn't know. So if you don't ask him if you see him, he ain't got a clue. But yeah, I've been really enjoying this. It's sort of one of those, again, cheap heat that take you by surprise. This has been a cheap heat video, really, this, shouldn't it? And did you notice that most of the albums in this video start with B? Apart from this one, and Odyssey, but the rest of them do. But that's an aside. But anyway, yeah, I've been really enjoying this. Like I say, the songs all hand together. The most famous song on here is Hold On Tight to Your Dreams, which was a big single. It's still played on the radio now. But funnily enough, there's no other big singles from this album. Although the songs are really catchy, the big hit is Hold On Tight. So there's only really one hit from this album. And that's how the album ends. It's sort of like basically it's saying to this guy, hold on tight to your dreams. One day you might find a way back. So it's a funny way of ending the album. It's an extremely positive song, but the guy's still stuck in 2095 and he's not very happy about it. And yeah, like I say, it seems like a definite attempt by Jeff Lynne to update the band's sound and get down with the kids and move with the times. Look there, they're all still looking at futuristic type building. And on the back, look at Jeff Lynne. He's even changed his image a little bit. Look at that dude. He's trimmed his beard back. He's gone for like a sort of like a hipster type chin strap. Obviously, it's spoiled a bit by Kelly Growcut with his massive, beard. That sort of dates it a little bit. But yeah, look at Jeff Lynne there. It's, total dude. Anyway, really been enjoying this. Like I say, really catchy, really hangs together well as a concept, and the songs all hang together really well. Obviously, it's on the Jet label. I've always loved the Jet Records label. I always think it's really well designed. So yeah, I love the Jet Records label. And it was an album that I wouldn't probably think of picking up, but because it was cheap, I did, and I'm really glad I did. I've been really enjoying this. So don't dismiss 80s ELO is the message there. Really enjoying that. So that's ELO and Time, and that wraps it up for this video. So stay cool, daddy-os, and I'll see you on the next one. All the best.